Hey, it's Laura with Marie Vintage, and I'm doing a DIY today, a little bit different than the other DIYs I've done, more in real time, so we're going to be doing this together, so this is going to be a longer video. I'm also going to do a DIY the way I usually do it, with the overhead shot and the fast forwarding, just showing you the points you need to see. So I'm going to be doing that simultaneously while I do this with you in real time. But what we're doing today is I've got this old lace Henley from Urban Outfitters that I got in 2010, and I've probably worn 5 times, but I never get rid of anything. But I want to upgrade it to be kind of that For Love and Lemons, Free People, like lacy sheer overlay look thing that I'm into. So going to be cutting up this piece of lace that I got at a thrift store, and we're going to be arranging the lace onto this little shirt in a way that is tasteful and should look pretty good. So I'm excited about it. So hopefully everyone's going to be happy. So if you don't like long videos, the short version is coming, so you can click away. But if you like long videos, then this one's going to be for you. So I'll go over what I'm using first, so the materials needed. So I've already showed you the shirt and the lace, which of course is the most important part. I've also got pins to hold the lace in place when I do cut it out and place it on the shirt. I like these colorful bulbous pins because they're easier to see, and since I do have 3 cats, I worry about the cats, especially Ryder, one of my black cats. He likes to pick up the pins and carry them around in his mouth, and we don't want that to happen. So I try to keep track of them in my little tomato and use the ones that I can easily see. And usually I do crafts in the craft room, but since I'm doing a straight shot video today, my cats would howl outside the door and you wouldn't be able to hear it. So I'm doing it in the cat room today, which is the spare bedroom, but it's honestly the cat room. Okay, so shirt, lace, pins, obviously scissors. I'm not using my really good fabric scissors because I don't want to waste them on this lace, which probably won't be that hard to cut. So it's regular old normal scissors. And then a needle and thread. This is a decent sized needle. I actually might downgrade to a smaller one, which I think I have on my tomato. But we're just gonna get started. So right now I'm just kind of looking at my shirt, and I'm gonna think about where I want to put this lace. So obviously over the boobage, not that I'm gonna be wearing this sans undershirt or bra, but you know, to give it that lace. So I'm thinking about like boob area, behind the elbows, which Free People does a lot, which I think is really cute. And I might leave the back open and sheer because I kind of like that look. So maybe just kind of near the collar, the boobage, and the elbows. So let me go ahead and try to move the camera so you can see this better. Okay, so I'm gonna start cutting this out. So let me decide which lace part I want to go where. So I think I'm going to use this large part of the lace. I'm going to cut around the outside of it, and excuse my boobs. We're just going to go for it. The first cuts are always like the most scary because you're like, oh god, well what if I screw this up? But I think this only cost me $5, and it's quite a bit of lace. I think I even have more than one of them. But yeah, that first cut, you're like, oh, there's no going back. I don't think I need that leaf, but I'm just going to cut around this leaf, so cut around the other rows. And that's the great thing about lace and anything with this netting. It's really easy to cut out and cut around. Gosh, maybe I should have got my fabric scissors. This is harder to cut than I thought it was going to be. I don't usually talk when I'm doing my crafting, because I'm usually by myself. Though I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it's the capital of North Carolina. So it's funny that a lot of people I've known throughout my life have ended up back here. So I've actually been hanging out with more girls in the area recently, and some of them are also big crafters. So I've been thinking about hosting like crafting parties where people can come over and do their crafts together. It's also good motivation. You know, I went to art school, and you know, you're constantly being given projects, and you're held accountable for finishing your work because you get graded on it. And then when you leave, I mean, it's really easy to to let those things go and to not finish your projects. So I think if we had a little crafting club, that'd be nice. Okay, so here's a rough chop. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back around and clean it up a little bit. So I did go get my nice fabric scissors. They're a little bit sharper and brand new. I got these at Joann's. They were on sale. It was a pack of 2 for $15. So if you're looking for some fabric scissors, Joann's is a good place to go. And I think they had their 20% off all regular price items coupon too, which they have all the time. So just wait until you have a good coupon and head to Joann's. But I did grab these. It is harder to cut than I thought. The good thing about lace, and any kind of lace like this, is it doesn't fray when you cut around the netting. So I'm just going in real tight around the floral shapes and removing the netting portion, which we don't need. Now you don't have to, since it does match the color of the shirt, it won't be too noticeable if you leave some stringy netting bits on the floral, but I'm trying to get as close as possible without actually cutting the floral design, because it will, like I said, it won't fray, but it might kind of fluff up. It just looks more finished if you don't get around if you don't actually cut into the floral pattern. So I'm just going in there with that netting. I also got a coffee refill when I went to get my good scissors. Alright, so I'm starting on my second piece of lace to match the other piece that's going to be on the front. And just a little design note, you know, just the lace I'm using, I can't exactly do a mirror image. Basically, they're not going to match. Like, one side's not going to match the other side exactly. So instead of it trying to make it look the same, it's better to just not try to mimic the exact same design, because then it's going to look off. But if you make it look intentionally different, it looks just fine. So I'm going to make it look intentionally different because I know the leaves aren't going to match up, and the roses aren't going to go in the same direction, but that's okay. So I'm just going to do kind of a different, kind of more freehand, not freehand, but a more unconventional pattern. Now if you get lace by the yard, if you're doing something like this, you will be able to get it to match. First of all, a lot of lace from fabric stores, one side, I mean, it doesn't matter what side you cut on, both sides look the same. So that's not a problem. But just, you know, this was I think it was a table runner. So it was never intended for this purpose. So I'm just trying to make do with my table runner and make it look like a pretty blouse. So that's that. But yeah, you know, doing craft projects and watching videos like this, you have to look at it as cooking. Like, once you understand the basics of cooking and the science behind food, you can do a lot more in the kitchen. You know, it's not just following the recipe exactly, which you can do, but if you know the basics, you can kind of create your own recipes, your own meals. So if you know the basics of cutting up the lace and applying it to any other kind of fabric, you know, of course your shirt's not going to look exactly like mine, but if you get the basics of this and you understand, just understand the concept behind it. It's all about concept. You're going to be able to make your own really cool pieces. Well, I'm kind of losing my light, so I did have to turn on a lamp. But I have all my pieces cut out, and I filled in any empty spots with tiny flowers from the lace, just to fill in any like gaping sections. And it is an asymmetrical design, which is the word I was trying to think of earlier when I was talking about not doing your images. So it's an asymmetrical design that I can't really move yet because all the pieces would fall off. Hello! Now that I'm happy with my design, I am going to start pinning it in place. So I realize I could show you if I do it this way. Now you have to be careful with any thin fabric like this that you don't go too far down and pick up the bottom layer of fabric. A trick I use is I put some cardboard in between. So you'd hit the cardboard before you'd hit the other side, and you know to stop when you hit cardboard. I'm going to start with my big pieces, and I'm going to slowly work my way into my little pieces that I added on as filler. Alright, I'm losing daylight because this is taking longer than I originally anticipated. So I might have to pick back up where I left off tomorrow. So I'm just going to be in a different outfit. Which, by the way, speaking of my outfit, if you like my crop top, I sell them in my Etsy shop, which is mainly vintage clothing. So if you were wondering why this lady who's doing DIYs and crafts has a channel called Low Marie Vintage, because what we sell in the shop is mainly vintage clothing. And crop tops, because I know that makes a lot of sense. But this fabric's currently not available, but there's other really cool fabrics currently for sale in this crop top style. So you should check out the link below if you like vintage clothes, or if you like crop tops, or just in general to support me, because you're great. Just click the link in the description below this video. Good morning! So it's day 2 of my lace shirt DIY, and I'm prepared today. I have my coffee and my actual fabric scissors, because now I've learned that I should just go ahead and use my good fabric scissors and not try to use the dinky dull ones. So I did work on it a little bit last night, and I'll insert a clip of what I did. You know, I told you you can use the cardboard so you don't go all the way through the lace. Well, if you're working on a sleeve, you can roll up a magazine. So I did roll up a magazine I had laying around, threw that in the sleeve while I was sewing the lace in place, just so I wouldn't go through and catch the other side of the fabric. I also decided to put some on the back, so I do have lace on the back, and I just did the same process I did on the front on the other side of the garment. But today I did decide that I wanted to add a lining. So I went to Joann Fabrics and I got 6 inches. You don't need that much. I got 6 inches of this kind of beigey brown color, which is as close to my skin tone as I could get at the store, and it is a jersey, so I won't have to finish the edges, which is nice. That's the thing about knits, just like this crop top I'm wearing. It's a great fabric if you're just starting sewing. You don't need a serger, you don't need any fancy skills. You can really just cut it, and it won't unravel, say like a cotton would. Well, I mean, you know, like a quilting cotton would. So I'm going to get started and kind of figure out how I want to do the lining today. Okay, well, I've got plenty of fabric because, like most jerseys, it was 54 inches of fabric width-wise. So even though I got 6 inches, I got 54 inches of 6 inches. So if you make a mistake, it's going to be fine because we don't need that much. I really just need to cover up the boobs because I did decide I don't want to be forced to wear an undershirt or a bralette with this, and it would be nice just to have that lining. If you've got bigger boobs, you might not feel comfortable doing that, so you can skip this step. What I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball how much I need and kind of do a shape that complements the shape of the flowers that I did. So I might go get a piece of chalk now. I think I've decided that I can kind of trace, because I'm touching it now and I can kind of feel the lace through the lining, and I'm just going to go get a piece of chalk and kind of trace around those edges, and I should get a pretty good shape. So I'm going to go get some chalk. Okay, I'm quite pleased with how my little lining bits turned out. I did err on the side of caution, so I did make them a little bit larger. We can always go back in and trim more, and if we do mess up, I mean, we have plenty of more fabric to work with. But I've got a pretty good size that will fit under the lace and cover the goods. I'm gonna go ahead and cut them out now, lay them inside, see if it works, and if not, go from there. Okay, so I cut them out, and they seem to be good size, I guess so. So I'm going to place them inside of the shirt, and I'm going to pin them in place just to make sure everything looks good, and I'm going to be pinning them just so the chalk, depending on what color chalk you use, just so the chalk doesn't get in my lace, I'm going to be pinning it in chalk side down, so the chalk, any bits of chalk that are still there will touch the bottom side of your fabric. If you're not using chalk, then obviously that's not a problem. I just prefer chalk because it does tend to wash off and it comes in light colors, and because you have to use such a heavy hand with it. It's not like oil pastels, which are super pigmented. I mean, you get enough to see it, but it's not enough to ruin your garment. So I just use regular dollar store chalk. Okay, so boobs. So now I have my lace inside out. So really it's chalk side up, but I don't want the chalk touching the outside, the front of my blouse. But I'm just gonna start pinning this into place on the underside. So just make sure, you know, when you flip your shirt inside out, you're not getting the right side and the left side confused. Make sure that pin, there's something wrong with that pin. It didn't want to go through. just make sure that they're matching, you know, so like what was on the right hand side when you're tracing it is now going to be on the left hand side, the mirror image. Oh, and for anyone saying your nail color is different, I was true. This is day 2 of this DIY. It is not the next day. It is not the next day. I had to take a couple days of a break from this project. Went to a wedding this weekend, which was fun, and I wore a dress that I had done a DIY to. It was an old 90s ball gown prom dress, but I cut the bottom off, made it into a cocktail dress, and used the bottom portion of the fabric to make a little cape. It's a project I've been working on and off for about at least 8 months, because when I started I had red hair. And I'm going to do a video on that just because it turned out so cute and it looks real retro, kind of like 1960s vibes. So I did take a break, just, you know, finish all that up and make my little cape and all that. But I will be showing you that in a video soon. Okay, so that's one boob in place. Okay, and now I have tried it on inside out just to make sure everything's covered. And it is. Thank goodness, because this is going on the internet. So now I'm going to take this back off and sew these into place, flip it inside out, and just make sure everything looks good. But I do suggest putting it on because I did have to adjust one. One of them was this one was too high, so I had to pull it down. Alright, so this is a good opportunity to show you my cardboard trick, which I said you could also use a magazine, really anything flat. But I'm going to slip this cardboard inside of my shirt, so when I'm sewing these into place, it doesn't get caught. It just helps you go a little bit faster. I mean, you can definitely do this without the cardboard, but you just have, you have to be a little more careful, and I hate being careful. Okay, I'm doing a little close-up, just to show you how quickly you can just kind of breeze through, just pick up a little bit of fabric, but since that cardboard's in place, I'm not picking up the underside. I hit that, you hear that scrape? I'll hit the cardboard if I go too far. Okay, so I think I'm done. I have sewn them in. You can see I used the same white thread that I used on the rest of the shirt because I don't care if you can see it on the inside. I care if you can see it on the outside. So those are sewn into place. I'm gonna go now and try it on and hope it looks good. Okay, well, I'm pretty damn proud of myself. It turned out really good. You know, it's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I didn't plan on putting anything on the back. And I live in the South, so this summer this is going to be really nice. Protect me from the sun, but still nice and cool because I'm practically wearing nothing. Thank you so much for watching this DIY. Be sure to check out some of my other DIY videos and my Etsy shop. You can follow me on social media. I am at Low Vintage everywhere, and I hope to see you guys next time. Be sure to watch the condensed version of this DIY as well, and also check out my DIY and crafts playlist. Please subscribe for more, and I hope y'all have a good day.